Hey YouTube, it's your girl Bree back with another mukbang. I haven't done a mukbang in so long. I have some dragon fruit, some watermelon, and some grapes, and some peach yogurt. That's what I'm doing for this morning. I want to put it somewhere where y'all can see it, but I just have it right here in my little bowl. Yeah, so I wanted to get on and make a video because all my friends been getting on me like, you need to be making videos. And I'm like, what video? What am I supposed to do or talk about or anything like that? This watermelon is good. But they're like, oh, you could tell us about your pregnancy. You could tell us what it feels like to be on bed rest. All this other drama. So, I thought to come on here and to tell y'all about it is so good. What it's like to go on immediate bed rest. Now, for everybody that doesn't know me, they know I'm a workaholic. They know I don't know how to sit down. Even my boyfriend, he always telling me like, babe, slow down. Babe, take a break. Babe, relax. Da-da-da. My mom, Bria, sit down. You don't know how to relax. You don't know how to take a break. Blah, 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 blah. One thing about me, I've always been a worker. I've never really liked anything just handed to me. I like to feel like I've worked for it. Well, let me get some dragon fruit in here. Look how pretty that is. It's so pretty. But I've always been like a worker. So like, I don't know what it feels like not to work. So right now, I'm having to take this break in order to make sure my baby's okay. And also to make sure that I'm okay. So, and look how pretty these watermelons are. They're cut up so good. And, but yeah. So, having to go on immediate bed rest. Well, I was in a hospital because, again, at that time, I was 28 weeks pregnant. So, when I first found out I was pregnant, I didn't really have any complications at all. The only thing I didn't know that I was pregnant. And that was about 8, 9 weeks. So then, moving forward, we get to the 28-week mark, which places you at 7 months. That's 7 months being pregnant. So, got to that mark, which was a very good mark because I've had a couple of miscarriages beforehand. And my doctor, she checked my blood pressure, and it was 158/92. Which is not a good blood pressure for anybody who's pregnant. That's just too high. It puts you at risk for a lot of different things. Preterm labor, preeclampsia. What else she told me? Preterm labor, preeclampsia. You could have seizures. You could have leaking. You could have bleeding. All kinds of crazy stuff. Look at this grape. So good. But, yeah, so she took my blood pressure. And mind you, this day I had kind of been a little irritated. I had just got off the phone with one of my friends talking about him and his girlfriend problems. And I was talking to my mom about some stuff. I talked to my boyfriend about some stuff, and it was just like a lot of things, different things was irritating me that day. So what ended up happening? Oh, and mind you, I sat waiting on my doctor for like 45 to an hour, 45 minutes to an hour. And I normally don't sit that long. And I was already like, okay, I have to go to work. Like, if that's the case, I'll just switch around. You know, I won't go today. But I knew I had to go because it was my routine for my 4 weeks. So, went in, checked my blood pressure. The LVN that checked my blood pressure, she was just like, I'm gonna go get Dr. Ali. And I looked at her like, okay, like, she didn't even check like my baby heart rate. She didn't check my weight, none of that. So I was like, okay, that's kind of weird. So Dr. Ali, that's my doctor name, she comes in, she tells me, when your blood pressure is a little elevated, we're going to have you go to the hospital for an observation and a tour. And I'm like, today? Like, we have to do that, like, today? And she's like, yeah, it has to be done today. And I'm like, okay. So she makes me call in to work. Mind y'all, I don't call in ever. So I called in to work, and I'm like, hey, I can't come in. But she said I may be able to come in tomorrow, just depending on circumstances, whatever happens, you know, or whatever's going on. They were real understanding because I worked at a daycare. So they were like, oh, okay. Just let us know, keep us posted. So, fast forward, I drove myself to the hospital. And once I got to the hospital, I went to the childbirthing center, and they placed me in this little room. Mind you, the little room, it looked like a little hospital room, like if you were to be admitted. So, one thing about me, if you know me, I don't like hospitals like that. Like, I'm literally mentally having to prepare myself for this whole little journey that I was going on, because I was like, okay, why am I here? What's wrong? So, fast forward, they hooked me up to this monitor. They gave me an IV, and I don't remember if it was this arm or my other arm, but I know they was having trouble finding my veins, so it was one of them. And so they gave me an IV. They put my baby on a baby monitor to watch her heart rate. And they did this for about some hours. Maybe like 2 or 3 hours. So afterwards, the nurse came back in, and she was like, well, you're gonna get admitted. And I'm like, me? She's like, yeah, they want to monitor your blood rate a little bit more, your blood pressures a little more, and Dr. Ali's really concerned. I'm like, okay, whatever. So I called my boyfriend, and I let him know, hey babe, I'm getting admitted to the hospital or whatever. And he's like, admitted to the hospital? Wow. So I told him what's going on. He immediately told his boss and hurried on up there. And so he's on the way. I'm in the midst of texting two of my real good friends. One of them, she got real concerned. because my blood, like my family has history of like diabetes, high blood pressure, and things like that. But I don't have any of that. Like, I've never had like any issues ever. Like, so for me to have to go to the hospital, it was kind of like a scare for everybody. I've only been in the hospital twice, and that was because of dehydration before being pregnant. So, texting my friends, they're like, hey, keep me posted, let me know. I text my mom, hey, they're finna admit me, this is what's going on. She's like, oh, well, as soon as I'm done with my class, I'm on my way. And so I'm kind of just sitting there like in a limbo, because I really didn't know or thought to know like how to handle this situation or whatever. So I was just kind of like, okay, what's going on? You know, like, I don't want to be stuck here because I don't like hospitals. And especially if I don't have to be here. Like, I'm not having my baby yet. Like, she's not ready to come. I'm only 28 weeks. I'm like, I still have a whole nother 14, 16 weeks to go, you know. So I'm like, what's going on? So then they transfer me to a room. I'm boohoo crying because the nurse is trying to explain to me what's going on. Mind you, my nurse, oh my gosh, this lady was such a beautiful angel. Like, Miss Gwen, that was my nurse. And she was just like super, super awesome. Like, she had all the information that I needed. She told me everything that I needed to know. It was just that I was so emotional at that point. Like, I couldn't even grasp the information that she was trying to tell me, because I was just like, I don't need to be here. I don't want to be here. Like, what's going on? And she's like, oh, honey, it's okay. You know, you're just a high-risk pregnancy, but due to your miscarriages beforehand, we just want to kind of make sure everything is still moving smoothly and, you know, everything is going according. So, again, I was like, well, is anything wrong with my baby? Because that was the only thing that's on my mind. I'm like, I don't really care. You know, oh, if y'all have to keep me because of me, like, that's fine. But I'm like, is she okay? She gives me this little white paper, and it's all my baby heart rate. She's like, she's fine. She's doing great. She's in there. She's handling her business. She minding her business. Most of her heart rates be between, like, 142 and 160 something. So I was like, okay, like, that kind of gave me an ease. I'm like, well, that's not the worry. She's okay. As long as she's okay, I'm going to be able to kind of breathe a little better. So then, fast forward. I'm in the room. They hook me up to all these machines again. And I'm just like, more machines. Woohoo. So, hook me up to these machines. And I'm just like, what am I to do now? You know? And so, fast forward now, I've been in the hospital a day. They didn't really do a lot of tests the first day. They just took my blood. And one thing I hate, they take blood at 4 in the morning. They don't take blood at like any other time. Well, for me, they didn't. They didn't come in like the middle of the day and take my blood. They took my blood at 4 in the morning. And I'm like, it already took me a long time to get comfortable to go to sleep. I had to ask my boyfriend to get in the hospital bed with me, because I'm like, I can't sleep. I'm uncomfortable. Like, it's just too much. So they come in. They poke me. Everybody know I don't like being poked. I'm like, okay. They took my blood. Lady put a little bandage, and she's like, okay, these results will be back in the morning. I'm like, well, it's already the morning, so what you talking about? She was like, oh, maybe like around 10 or 11 o'clock. I'm like, oh, okay. So then they come back. All my test reads are fine. They were great. I didn't have anything come back that was bad. So then I'm like, well, if my lab tests are fine, let me go home. They're like, oh, well, your blood pressure's still not regulating. What do I have to do to regulate this blood pressure? Like, I'm just like, tell me something. I don't want to be here. Like, my blood pressure's not going to go down because I'm uncomfortable. I keep telling y'all, like, this is just too much for me. Like, tell me what I need to do. So, Nurse Gwen again, she just kept saying, hey, baby, calm down. You know, you need to relax. You need to breathe through. And I'm like, okay. Then my nurse tells me, oh, by the way, I'm not going to be here tomorrow because she gets off. She does the 7 to 7 in the morning. So she's like, I'm not going to be here tomorrow. It's going to be someone else. Her name's Cynthia. And I'm like, I don't like change. I don't like getting uncomfortable. So for her to tell me that, I'm just like, okay, well, you enjoy your day off and I'll see you hopefully when I'm having her, you know, things like that. So, okay, guys, I'm back. So she's like, yeah, she's not going to be there. So I'm like, okay, have to mentally prepare myself for this. Again, my blood pressure went skyrocketing. Because, again, I don't like change. I don't like having to switch up nothing. None of that. So, what ended up happening? So, Miss Gwen ended up leaving at 7. Miss Cynthia comes in. And I'm just, no. Not Miss Cynthia. I had this other lady. I can't think of her name. She was a Jamaican lady, though. She was real nice, too. I had her and an Asian lady through the night. Mind you, they was like, oh, well, we don't have to check baby, but every shift change for 30 minutes. And I was like, oh, okay. They was like, yeah, she's doing fine. She has a lot of hiccups, but other than that, she's fine. That's normal. It sounds like she's kicking your insides out. I'm like, yeah, that's what it feels like. She's in there kind of like boop, 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 doing her own little thing. So then, fast forward, they make me take this 24-hour urine test. And it started from 7 to 7. 7 that evening to 7 the next evening. So I was like, okay. After that, it was like, okay, so it might not be back till the next day. And that'll determine whether or not you're able to go home. And I'm like, okay. So in my mind, I'm asking them all kinds of questions like, what does this test mean? What does this test do? Like, so they prepared me. And they was like, well, we're trying to weed you out to see if you have a disorder called preeclampsia. And I'm like, preeclampsia? Like, what is that? They're like, it's just a bodily hormonal change that you go through when you're pregnant, that can lead to either seizures, high blood pressure, proteins in your urine, and a lot of different other things. And so I'm sitting there like, okay, what that mean? And they're just like, well, that'll determine the rest of your activity base that you can do or whatever you can, handle. I'm like, okay. So they did the test. They take the test. They brought in the high-risk doctor. His name is Dr. Tam Tam. And he came in and he told me my results. He was like, well, your urine it doesn't have as many proteins as we expected. It was only like 160 something like that. But he was like, because it's on a base of a value of 300. So anything under 300, you're fine. But he was like, but to make sure that you're okay, we're placing you on bed rest. Mind you, I haven't been to work 3 days. You know what I mean? I'm like kind of freaking out. I'm like, well, what am I supposed to do in these days? Like, am I supposed to wait, until y'all tell me I can go back to work? He was like, well, okay. I don't know why people keep calling me in the midst of this video. Like, nobody ever calls me this early anyway. But yeah, so he's like, we're going to place you on bed rest for the rest of your pregnancy. And I'm just like, how do y'all know, like, I am physically, mentally, and financially stable for that? Like, mind you, my boyfriend has a really nice job. Don't get me wrong. But in a sense, it's just been me and him. We've been very dependent on each other, but we've been very independent on everything else, you know? We don't really ask people for help unless we really, 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 really need it. And that's probably the max $20 to $40. And we pay that right back. So when he tells me that, like, I immediately just start crying because I'm like, I won't be able to buy my baby anything else. Like, I had a lot of different things that I wanted to buy for her. At this time, I didn't know, like, okay, well, now with you saying I'm on bed rest, will I have a baby shower? What am I going to have to do moving forward? Like, you know, it was just a lot of different aspects that came with this outcome that kind of just threw me for a loop. And so I'm like, okay, God, just take the wheel, you know? Because at this point, like, I can't. Like, I was tired. Like, I was legitimately tired. I'm like, she's not even here yet. And you're already telling me I can't work. I didn't plan not to work until, like, right before, you know, I hit maybe 38 weeks. Then he tells me, well, you know, we just think you're, like, on the verge of having mild preeclampsia, which is, there's different stages. There's mild, there's moderate, and then there's severe. Mild is, oh, well, we just have to watch you. Moderate is, we have to watch you, maybe put you in the hospital a couple of days, send you back home, make sure we keep watching you. Severe is, we can't fix it. It can't be monitored. It can't be, you know, regulated. So we have to make you deliver. Like, there's no other option but to make you deliver. And so I'm sitting there and I'm like, well, I don't want to have, you know, moderate or severe. Mild is, I guess, something that can be dealt with. But again, I had all these different thoughts, like immediate bed rest. Wow. Like, I'm 24. I've been working since I was 16. I hadn't had that gap where I don't work. I'm just like, what am I supposed to do now? So my boyfriend was trying to calm me down. It's going to be okay, babe. I have everything, you know. Don't worry about it, you know. It's okay, you know. You're my family. She's my family. Make sure y'all okay. That made me cry even more because I've always wanted my own family. And I always wanted my own, you know, I guess you could say security. Little, I don't even know how to explain it. Like, just had my own little space where I knew, like, somebody would have my back like I would have theirs, you know. So for him to say that, it was kind of like, okay, I feel a little better. My mom, she was like, well, I knew you was going to go on bed rest. You don't listen. You're always moving around. You know, you're always working. You're never really, like, resting. You never really, like, taking time for yourself. And I'm like, okay, well, I understand that. And she's like, just prepare yourself for whatever has to come and, you know, do whatever you need to get done. So I'm like, okay. So then by this time, they tell me I can go home. I'm so excited to go home because I had to see daylight in like 3 days. I've seen nothing but these 4 walls, and I'm like cringing by this time. So I asked my boyfriend, I was like, can you take me to the Chinese buffet? Like, that's what I wanted. He was like, are you sure that's what you want? He's like, you don't need your blood pressure getting high. And I'm like, I want Chinese buffet. Like, that's what I want. So I get Chinese buffet. He bring me home. Well, no, we went to the Walgreens. We had to go get me a blood pressure monitor. We had to give me some Ensures to regulate, make sure that my baby's weight was regulating just as well. Because I hadn't really eaten what I needed to eat while I was in the hospital. Because I was kind of like I'm not gonna say more so disgusted, but I just didn't have an appetite. So we did that, and I came home. And so, mind you, in our townhouse, we have upstairs, downstairs. So I was like, well, I guess I gotta stay upstairs for a while. And he was like, yeah. He was like, don't really try to worry about going downstairs. I'm like, okay. So mind you, this bed rest, it's been a mental battle for me. Because again, I'm one of those people, I like to move when I like to move. I like to go do what I like to do. If I want to go shop today, I'm going to go shop. If I want to go get my nails done, I'm going to go get my nails done. Like, I've never had to just sit at home just to sit at home. Never. So, yeah. That's pretty much what immediate bed rest feels like. It's kind of like someone in the medical field just puts like a stint in your daily life. Like, they just kind of stop it. Like, no, you can't do that right now. And for me, for somebody to tell me that I can't do something, it's just like, okay. But on the bright side, it's been 3 weeks bed rest. I maybe come downstairs a couple of times a day now. I don't really try to make it a habit, because at first it was only once or twice a day I could come downstairs. Now I probably come downstairs a little more than that. I may go around the corner to see my friend who has her baby. She just had her baby. And maybe run 2 or 3 errands with my boyfriend. But if it doesn't have like the little ride around carts, I can't go. So, but yeah, my blood pressure is regulated. My urine actually went from the 160 something, I think that's what it was, to 360, and then back down to 260. So that's a good thing. None of my labs have shown anything as far as like anything wrong with my liver, kidney, my liver, my kidneys. What else do they check? My blood, like my I think it's called lymphocytes, which are your white blood cells. None of that came back, nothing. Everything's came back normal. So I'm blessed for that. But yeah, so I'm gonna make this short. I'm gonna cut it down. But yeah, that's what it feels like to go on immediate bed rest. Like, everything kind of just halts. You have to wait till you're able to get back to your norm, till you can do whatever you need to do. Honestly, I just feel like this was God's way of telling me to sit down and take a break. Honestly, because I'm always worried about what if or what's not, you know. So yeah, I think this is just his way of like, sit down, relax, bake my child that I've given you type thing. So yeah, but again, if you like this video, if you like what I've said in this video, if it was informational, if it kind of gave you an insight on what immediate bed rest is, leave a comment down below. Like, share, subscribe. If you want to see any more videos about me, telling you guys about my pregnancy or anything like that, y'all can even ask me like different questions, relationship questions. I don't care. Like, I don't have anything to do here. So yeah, y'all could just let me know, and I'll try to get out as much content as I can. But for now, you guys, y'all be sweet. Your girl Bree is out.